Hello, I'm Chuck Hawley, Chairman of the Safety at Sea Committee at U.S. Sailing. The video you're about to see is part of a series of videos under the topic of safety at sea. And this particular topic is arguably one of the most important. The topic for today is giving assistance to other vessels. We're going to talk about 5 main concepts. The first is, what are the legal requirements for you and your crew to render aid to another vessel? Second, we're going to talk about whether you're in a position to actually give that aid, or perhaps you should pass. Third, we're going to talk about the different types of assistance that you can provide. Fourth, we're going to talk about responding to a VHF call in the most efficient way. And fifth, how much risk is it reasonable for you to subject your vessel and your crew to? Let's start by talking about some of the critical nature of giving assistance. The first thing is, giving assistance to other vessels at sea has been a time-honored tradition since man and woman first started going to sea thousands of years ago. The idea that you would mutually help another vessel that got into distress. There are a number of key reasons to do this. The first, although perhaps not the most important, but it is there, is the legal requirement, which we'll talk about in a second. The second is a sense of karma, that doing the right thing for somebody else may put you in a better position to receive aid when you're in trouble. And third, it's just the right thing to do, something called a moral imperative. So what are the laws involved with giving assistance to another vessel? Well, let's start at the international level, and I'm going to sort of paraphrase what the actual law is. International maritime law says, upon receiving a signal from any source that persons are in distress at sea, you are bound to proceed with all speed to their assistance. That's pretty mandatory. As soon as you hear about it, you got to change your course and head for them. How about U.S. law? Well, federal statutes say an individual in charge of a vessel shall render assistance to any individual found at sea in danger of being lost, so far as the master or individual in charge can do so without serious danger. Wow, that's pretty interesting. That throws in the clause that if it's going to put you at danger, well, maybe you can think a second time about this. Nobody wants you to get killed rendering assistance. But the third, and a lot of people would probably put this at the top, are the racing rules of sailing. The racing rules of sailing very clearly, right in the beginning, say, a boat or competitor shall give all possible help to any person or vessel in danger. And this isn't just in the beginning, it's rule 1.1. So that just shows you the folks that write the rules for our sport think it's extraordinarily important. In addition to legal requirements, there's this thing called the moral imperative. Wikipedia defines a moral imperative as a principle originating inside a person's mind that compels them to act. Imperatives transcend obligations or responsibilities outside the possibility of choice. This means that inside everybody's mind, you have this sort of inner voice that's saying, hey, somebody's in trouble, you need to go get them. And of course, the other reason that you go out and rescue somebody at sea, it's the right thing to do. Now let's talk about some of your obligations when you're at sea. The first is a communication obligation. When you're underway at sea, you want to have your VHF on channel 16 at a volume where you can hear it if somebody makes a call. Obviously, there's 2 reasons. One is if somebody's calling you and hailing your vessel, but the second is if somebody has a distress call. Somebody has a distress call on channel 16, you want to be in a position to respond to it. But interestingly, just because you hear a mayday doesn't mean you immediately want to get on there and respond, because there may be another vessel, or possibly the Coast Guard, that's in a better position to respond. So, pause, listen to the information, jot it down in your logbook, because goodness knows our memories fail pretty quickly when we're in a distress situation. And if nobody else responds, then you respond. Let's assume, though, for a moment, that you can't go to the aid of that vessel. You're having your own troubles, or perhaps you're too far away. It's vital that you take the time to make a logbook entry as to why you did what you did. Put down the information about the distress call, the position, the time of day, the name of the vessel, and then indicate what your response was. It may never happen, but it could be that there's an inquiry into this accident or possibly a lawsuit over it, and you want to have evidence that was made by your own hand that indicates why you took the actions you did.